Records and ratings don't mean a lot when an old Southwest Conference rivalry is heated back up again in the Big 12. And today, we cook up some young quarterbacks. The freshman Patrick Mahomes gets his first ever start for Texas Tech, adorned in the red, white, and blue Lone Star State helmet. While sophomore Tyrone Swoops tries to gain traction for a Texas team under its first-year coach. Yes, the Lone Star State flag is waving on FS1 tonight. It's an old school Southwest Conference showdown. Two teams that have a long, long history. And here on FS1, they reach their crossroads in the 2014 season live from AT&T Jones Stadium in Lubbock, Texas. Yes, the Longhorns get it done with a salty defense and an offense that's trying to rely upon veterans at the running back position. As for Texas Tech, they counter with an air raid performance that equals their nickname. Tonight, Texas Tech at home trying to stop the bleeding in the Big 12 as they match wits with the Mighty Horns. Hello, everyone. Tim Brando, and by my side, the former all-time great quarterback at Notre Dame, Brady Quinn. If this defense that's been bleeding for Texas Tech is going to be reinvigorated, it's going to be through this high-octane offense of Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, but it's going to be led by a first-time starter tonight, Patrick Mahomes. He's going to be in charge of this higher-powered offense, but Cliff Kingsbury said this week he may have to slow it down at times to make sure that he's got the right communication and the right call. However, he will make sure to get the ball to Jakeem Grant, their standout player, as much as possible tonight.
Texas may be 3-5, but no one in this city really cares. They just want to beat Texas. The Longhorns do have an outstanding defense. Their front seven may be as good as any quality elite team in the country.
That's right. It starts up front with their front four defensive linemen, led by defensive tackle Malcolm Brown. He really sets the tone for their defense, getting penetration into the offensive line, and he's a huge mismatch for the Texas Tech offensive line tonight.
We look forward to it. It should be an outstanding matchup. The crowd is sellout at Jones AT&T Stadium. And for the evening, the Red Raiders have the guns up and the red, white, and blue on their side. Fox Sports College Football is presented by K Jewelers. A blustery evening in Lubbock, but then again, it's November 1st. What else is new, right? Along with Brady Quinn and Mike Barrera back in our studios. We'll be handling all the official circumstances that come up from time to time. Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. As you look at Charlie Strong in year one, he tells his young players, you're at the University of Passing Through if you don't take advantage of your chance. And his record is 3-5, but it's only the beginning for him. For Cliff Kingsbury, he came out guns a-blazing with guns up a year ago. They did manage a bowl victory, have hit the skids somewhat defensively of late. But he does believe tonight they can turn it around at home against a rival like Texas. Rose is going to boot it away. Texas won the toss, deferred, so Texas Tech will get it to open this game. Jakeem Grant is back deep in single safety. Beautiful boot. And he'll take a knee. They'll open at the 25-yard line. So, Brady Quinn, give me three things we need to know when Texas Tech has the football.
Well, Patrick Mahomes in his first start's got to take care of the football. They've thrown way too many interceptions this season. And if they want to win tonight, he's got to take care of the football. DeAndre Washington will be the guy that's going to carry the majority of the load tonight. They're going to take some of the pressure off of Patrick Mahomes by giving him the football early and often. And Quandre Diggs will have his hands full with some of these slot wide receivers. Jakeem Grant, in particular, is going to be a tough matchup.
There you see Quandre Diggs, who's really the leader of that Texas secondary. DeAndre Washington is the lone setback. Now with some motion, they get two back there. And it's Washington taking it on the safety valve coming out of the backfield. He's ahead for maybe 2 yards and then pushed back. As you look at Mahomes, the freshman from White House High School in Texas, you used him primarily as a runner when Davis Webb was a part of this offense. So he has had some playing time, but this is his first ever start. A wide receiver screen, and it's a quick one. And it's to Lauderdale. And he's ahead to about the 33-yard line. Devin Lauderdale, the transfer out of Navarro Junior College, had a big touchdown reception in that game with TCU last week.
Cliff Kingsbury obviously wants to get Mahomes into a rhythm, getting him some easy completions, putting him in third and short. They'd like to stay in third and short the majority of this game if they can to have success on third down.
Quentin White is coming to the backfield now. And the pass is thrown a little behind Jakeem Grant, incomplete. So it's 3 and out for the Red Raiders, and they'll be forced into a punt formation.
Well, Jakeem Grant's got to come up with this catch. A first-time starter for Patrick Mahomes. He's going to feel a little bit of jitters, so don't expect him to be as accurate right out the gate. And he's capable of making that catch, so he's got to come up with it.
With Baylor, because the way Baylor came back to beat them with regard to the division, there may be some talk about a future playoff game within this conference if those two wind up knotted up. That pass is incomplete. It was intended for Ian Sadler, one of the 2 freshmen getting starts as wide receivers for Texas Tech. Very young football team, both offensively and defensively. DeAndre Washington carries off the left side. He's got great stop, start, and dart ability as a running back.
And they rely on him in the running game to keep them within third and short, third and manageable distances. He does a nice job. People think Texas Tech is a pass-heavy team, but they still like to stay balanced. They still like to run the football, and he's a big part of that.
Steve Edmond, the middle linebacker, made the tackle. 3rd down and 4. White is in motion. That pass in a tight window is caught. That's a first down at the 43. Bradley Marquez, the team captain, playing with some hurt ribs since that Kansas game, out for the first down. They play tempo at the 44. White remains the running back, and he'll take it ahead for a couple of yards.
And going back to that last play, just a tremendous job of Mahomes stepping up in the pocket and avoiding a sack and being able to get the ball out. That's what he's going to have to do against this tough defensive line for Texas, especially when you've got big boys like Malcolm Brown in there moving those offensive linemen out of the way.
The linebackers, they're deep at that position. This is a very salty front 7. DeAndre Washington back in the game. He tries the right side, the left side of the Texas defensive front. Gets ahead for about 3. Deshaun Hughes, number 40. Outstanding freshman coming along for Vance Bedford's defense. Made the stop. It's 3rd down and 5.
Vance Bedford would like to bring more pressures on 3rd down, but Texas Tech plays so fast, it's hard to dial them up.
But a 100-play game for them is like a walk in the park, as it is for so many teams in the Big 12 Conference now. Little slip screen out to White. Nothing doing, stopped at midfield. So about a yard, it'll be 4th down and another punt formation coming up. Hughes was there to make the stop for Texas.
Cliff Kingsbury's really trying to get Patrick Mahomes into a rhythm. Being that he's played quarterback before, he understands how important it is for a quarterback to find his confidence early in the game. So he's giving him simple reads and progressions, half-field reads, not putting too much on his plate. And so far, Mahomes is doing a nice job of controlling the football and possessing the football.
Semank will get it off at about where we've got right now. A little bit of discussion, I'm sure, will ensue when time permits. Mahomes looking deep. Incomplete. It was intended for Bradley Marquez. He had to wait on it a little bit. Eccles did a nice job of getting back there to defend. He was sandwiched in there by Bryson Eccles as well as Michael Thompson. Okay, clearly the college football standings are out, and Alabama is not in the top 4. And I applaud the committee for looking at it that way in terms of head-to-head, at least early on. But we'll discuss that matter a bit more in a moment. There's a little quick slip screen. caught by Reginald Davis, who's out for about 6 or 7. I was impressed with the way the committee handled the first standing.
I was as well. I was a little bit confused because head-to-head play was one of the criteria they built in there.
Yep.
But they had TCU ahead of Baylor, who TCU had lost to earlier. So that didn't make quite as much sense. But besides that, they did a good job with the one-loss teams, which is the big discussion about the Fox 4 and really the playoff itself.
Without question. Notre Dame did not get as much credit for their quality loss as other teams did for quality wins. I think quality losses will begin to matter as we get deeper into the process. 3rd down and 4. A quick curl out in front and caught to Brad Peterson, number 83. Another one of the many wide receivers. It's like a bus stop. They run them in and out and in and out in this air raid attack.
And they do a great job of spreading the field, which when you play zone coverage like Texas did on the last snap, it creates holes and voids. Mahomes was able to find one there.
From the 46, DeAndre Washington. Stopped by Hughes again. He gets about 4 on the play. You know, he was only carrying it about a dozen times at most the first 3 or 4 games. And then he had 3 100-plus yard performances, Washington, and started carrying it 20, 25 times a game.
Well, he's one of the top running backs in the Big 12. And again, people think that this is a pass-heavy offense. They'd like to have balance just as much as anything else.
He's replaced by White. And there's a quick up and out to Ian Sadler. The freshman from Argyle, Texas, has a first down.
And they run just a little out route with the 2 outside wide receivers running what looks to be out go routes, but instead they're actually really just waiting to block those defenders. So a nice job of, again, finding the holes in the zone offense and being able to give Mahomes simple, easy completions to get first downs.
I think Charlie Strong is talking a little bit about timing and how much time his defense has to line up. And we do have a flag down. It came late. The flag came very late, and then the conversation with Charlie Strong and the referee ensued.
Pass interference, offense. The ball was completed beyond the line of scrimmage. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Greg Burks is our referee.
And if you look at the top of your screen, these 2 wide receivers are going to run what looks like go routes, but really what they're doing is slowing up to then get in position to block the defensive backs. Good job by the officiating crew seeing it. They don't see it a lot of times.
Look familiar, Golden Dome breath?
It looked a little bit familiar to a play that maybe Notre Dame could have won the game for Notre Dame.
Yeah,
but look, Texas Tech does this all the time. Every team in the country does this, with maybe the exception of Navy running the option, but most teams do it. It's hard for officials to see, and they're able to have so much production out of it, and that's why they continue to run it.
Defensive coaches have been bemoaning this happening for a long, long time.
And I talked to defensive coordinator Vance Bedford for Texas, and I asked him if he was worried about it.
Yeah.
And he told me, hey, there's nothing we can do about it. We've just got to play with good eye discipline and get off blocks when we can.
There's Vance, a very busy guy with this football team that's been asked a lot to keep the scores as low as possible when our offense is trying to get traction with swoops at quarterback. Mahomes with a pump fake goes screen to DeAndre Washington, and that thing had some possibilities, but it was well read. Texas recovered very quickly on the defensive side, and Michael Thompson had a lot to do with that. Number 2.
And you're going to see a lot of screens from Texas Tech, not only to the wide receivers, but the running backs. It's a way to slow down the defensive line for Texas. And again, a way to get easy completions for Mahomes and get them into more third and manageable. Right here, though, 3rd and long. Tough to pick up in this situation.
Trips wide receiver set to the top of your screen. They go underneath. Crossing route to Lauderdale. He gets just a little past the original line of scrimmage to the 49-yard line before being pushed back by Steve Edmond.
Texas just playing sound defense, again, with great eye discipline. They drop back into their zone coverage. They cover everything deep and make sure that there's a completion in front of them that they come up and make the tackle and rally to the football. Nice job by the Texas defense.
Well, for Semank, this is he's getting a workout. They're not accustomed to punting this much in one quarter. It's 4th down and 8. They generally go for it a lot on 4th down 2 in this offense. There's Cliff Kingsbury. Well, we spent some time with him this week. I asked him about his circumstances, and he said, you know, hey, we're a young football team. And by the way, it's also a young staff in a lot of ways.
But I think that plays in their favor because they're going to do such a good job recruiting. So many of these kids can relate to him. Mike Smith, defensive coordinator, a guy I played against back when he was playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Eric Morris, another young guy, an offensive coordinator we met with and talked for a while. So they've got a ton of young guys that are really energetic and really can relate to a lot of these players.
DeAndre Washington forges ahead to the 39. By the way, we were both down on the field before the game, and I chatted with Cliff. But before I did, he made a beeline for the recruits. And tonight there are a ton of recruits here on campus in Lubbock.
Jarrett Stidham's the #1 quarterback in the country in the state of Texas right now.
Looking long, incomplete.
He's going to be a kid they're really excited about because he's probably going to be the type of guy to hit those big plays that they need to be more consistent on.
That was intended for Dylan Cantrell, the sophomore from White House, and a young man that Mahomes knows a lot about. A year ahead of him in school in White House, Texas. Duke Thomas was down there providing coverage.
And at a quarterback in your first start, you're going to throw to the guys you feel most comfortable with. Clearly, they've got a rapport with one another.
Kenny Williams, who had converted to defense, has moved back to running back, is in the game now, number 34. There's a quick slant to Sadler. First down into Texas territory at the 47. Jason Hall, the safety, made the tackle, and they go tempo again. Gain of 12. Fake to Williams. Go with the quick screen. And once again, it's Bradley Marquez. They want to keep him healthy. There's a late flag that comes down as he goes down and out of bounds around the 34-yard line. Pick up a 14. We await the word from Greg Burks, our white hat tonight.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds, number 31. 15-yard penalty, first down.
These are tough calls because it's such a close play to the sidelines. Obviously, the Texas defense is trying to limit whatever yardage they can, and Marquez is racing up the sidelines.
That was a little ticky-tack to me.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that call.
My friend in basketball, Bill Raftery, would have called that a nickel dimer. Flag comes down again as Mahomes is wrapped up inside the 20 at the 19-yard line.
This looks to be a holding call. Texas brought a blitz there, and unfortunately, there weren't many running lanes, so the offensive line for Texas Tech tried to create one on their own.
Well, Raven Clark, maybe the offensive tackle
Personal
involved.
foul, shot block, number 56, number 34 offense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Actually, it was Alfredo Morales, who's next to him, the left guard, that was tagged.
And this is a tough scenario for an offensive lineman and a running back. In these scenarios, when you get a blitz late, when the linebackers are creeping up like that, there's not a lot of time for communication. So, unfortunately, sometimes there ends up being a high-low block that looks like a chop block, but believe me, it's not intentional.
First and 25 from the 34 of Texas. Empty backfield, and the slant is incomplete. Again, intended for Sadler. Boy, they're going to this young man who's had a great week of practice, and he, along with Batson, make up the two freshman receivers that are getting starting opportunities.
And he had a big play last week versus TCU for a touchdown, one of the few bright spots there for Texas Tech, and they really felt like he was ready to make that next step into the starting role.
Play fake to Washington. Quick slant to Marquez. He's got it down to the 18-yard line, and another flag comes down. It's getting a little chippy between these two. And that could be redundant.
I like it, though. That's what you want in these sort of in-state rivalry games.
Personal foul, face mask, number 33, defense. Penalty will be half the distance to the goal. First down.
That goes against Edmond, the senior leader in the middle of that defense.
They've been putting Bradley Marquez in the slot mostly, but for this game, they wanted to put him more outside. They liked his ability in the passing game to be able to try to get downfield for some big plays. Right there, Marquez coming in with a big catch and run.
Texas Tech scored a touchdown, the recipient of a poor decision on the part of Tyrone Swoops. Picked up by Brandon Jackson. They missed the extra point, and now a very methodical drive. With first-time starter Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Kenny Williams is in the backfield, and he's got it. Trying the stretch play, and it's hard to run wide on this Texas defense. Big Hassan Ridgway, who's been such a surprise for them from Mansfield, Texas. Only a sophomore, but boy, is he big.
He is big, and you know it's tough for Texas Tech this entire season for them to be able to get a lot of production in the red zone with touchdowns. They've been down there a decent amount, but they've come away with field goals about a third of the time. They'd like to score more touchdowns instead of only coming away with 3.
And protecting the football has been a problem. They go on the fade. Is it caught? Incomplete. Well defended by Jason Hall, intended for Dylan Cantrell. Boy, he had a step, had to wait on it a bit. This is just an outstanding defensive play.
It is, and it's an outstanding defensive play. Is getting his hands up late, and that's what they talk about as a defensive back. They want you to shoot your hands at the very last second to get in the way of the wide receiver so he can't see the ball and he can't secure the catch.
Well, that's the way they teach you in the secondary. Williams remains the lone setback. They go with a bubble at the top. Trip set. Mahomes, he can run. This time, unable to hide, and it's Edmond that makes the play. And they'll be forced into a field goal situation.
And Steve Edmonds, the guy who's going to have to stay at home for this Texas defense. They know that Patrick Mahomes can run outside the pocket, so he does a nice job of playing his part and being there in case he does.
Buston is 7 of 8 in field goals and had been at 141 of 143 before he missed that last PAT. This is a 29-yarder for the left-footed kicker. Ooh, that one hooked, and it's no good. Ouch. Now the confidence has really been shaken for the southpaw footer here at Texas Tech.
It looks like my golf game right now, Sammy. He's got a little bit of a case of the hooks here. So much of the kicking game is mental, especially when you miss a PAT, something that pretty much everyone expects you to make. Now it's all in his head. I'm sure he's not doing anything too drastically different than he's done before.
Hey, this is a young man that only needed 2 field goals to break the school's all-time career record. So he's very accomplished, but that is but a distant memory, that stat, at this stage. Fox Sports 1 College Football is presented by Kay Jewelers. Along with Brady Quinn and Mike Pereira, back in our Los Angeles studios, Tim Brando. Happy to have you with us. We got another missed field goal in this game. We've got a missed extra point and 2 missed field goals cumulatively in this game. Now impacting both teams. Patrick Mahomes getting his first ever start out of the shotgun with an empty backfield, going for the home run, and it was almost there for Jakeem Grant. We're talking about good field goal kickers too. Buston, that was only his 3rd miss in his career with an extra point. They'd only missed 1 field goal, and then Rose the same thing.
And all these are makeable. You know, it wasn't as if they're kicking a 50-plus yard field goal.
Not a given in the college game. Bradley Marquez misses his opportunity, and it'll be
Texas Tech has had a number of drops so far tonight. Patrick Mahomes has done a nice job of putting balls within the wide receiver's catch radius. And really, these guys got to do a better job of helping him out with the injury to Davis Webb. That's 4 drops so far on the day.
There are the numbers on Mahomes. It could be a lot better. You're right, Brady. 3rd down and 10. And we've got a pre-snap flag. May have had a false start.
False start. Number 6, offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
So Devin Lauderdale is guilty that time. There you see those passes that have been dropped. Everyone's gotten in on the act.
And Mahomes is 12 of 19 on the night. Yeah. He really could be extremely efficient at 16 for 19. A lot of those balls were very catchable.
No question. Texas gets the pressure with only 3 being brought. He dumps it underneath to Bradley Marquez. And he gets out to about the 22-yard line before being knocked out of bounds.
I can't say enough, though, about Patrick Mahomes and how he's playing so far. He's just doing a nice job of possessing the football. He's not forcing things, and he's giving his team the opportunity or preserving the right to punt. You go back to earlier in the game when Tyron Swoops tried to make a play, and all of a sudden he fumbles the football and ends up a touchdown for Texas Tech. That's really the difference in this game right now, and that's why Patrick Mahomes is playing a better game than Tyron Swoops.
Jackson Shipley awaits. Snake's boot is high, and a fair catch call for at the 37-yard line. You could say they don't like one another very much. You would be right if you did. One of them hopes to be in position to get to a bowl game by night's end. The 11-yard line. Things could be better for Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, some of his receivers have had a case of the hands of stone, unable to reel him in.
Ian Sadler in his first start as well as wide receiver for Texas Tech. Dropped a couple of them, but again, Bradley Marquez, one of their go-to guys. You just don't expect that coming from him, although again, he's playing in a different spot tonight, playing more on the outside as opposed to playing the slot like he normally does.
See what the Red Raiders will do again with poor field position as they open from the 11-yard line, and it's DeAndre Washington. Head to about the 12-yard line, stopped by Steve Edmond.
Defensive coordinator Vance Bedford talked about putting an extra guy in the box to account for the run. They really wanted to make Patrick Mahomes beat them in the passing game in order to win tonight. So far, they've been successful at stopping Texas Tech's running game.
See what he's done lately. He's really been a go-to guy for them. On the quick curl, Sadler's got it. And he's out ahead for yards after the catch, netting a first down at the 25-yard line. Bryson Eccles the tackle.
You can't say enough about Patrick Mahomes and just his calm poise in the pocket right now, seeing the field very well and just methodically working them down the field right now.
Yeah, you don't always think about running backs chewing up yardage in the history of Texas Tech football, but there have been more than maybe you recall. DeAndre Washington doing in on some of those numbers. This time on the read, Mahomes is hit, loses the football. He got hammered, and Texas has the football at the 25-yard line, and he is very slow to get up. It's Shiro Davis, #1 with a recovery. And now the concern is for the health of Patrick Mahomes. The hit from Quandre Diggs forcing the fumble, and it was a big league hit.
And Texas Tech is going to be in a world of trouble. Patrick Mahomes was coming in, and he was obviously untested, had only thrown 12 passes in his career. And now you're talking about coming with a guy who probably hasn't gotten many reps at all during practice, let alone this entire season. The quarterback position is such an intricate part of the Texas Tech offense.
Here's the hit. Diggs really buried him, and it's a good hit. Nothing wrong with it.
It's a clean hit. And really, the fault should go on Jakeem Grant. It looked to be his guy that he should be blocking in the running game.
Just takes the timeout. There's the hit from Diggs. And it may be what turns this game. We shall see. We love things in threes, and here are 3 things you need to know about what we've seen here in Lubbock. Brandon Jackson with a takeaway off a hit from Jackson Richards to give Texas Tech a lead. But then Mahomes was knocked out on a Quandre Diggs dig. And that forced a walk-on Testaverde into quarterback. And John Harris went long to help lead Texas into position. And the Horns take the lead prior to the intermission, 17-13, as we welcome you back to Jones AT&T Stadium here in Lubbock, Texas, with the quarterback of some note, Brady Quinn, Tim Brando. And from that point on, really, after Harris, it was the Texas run game that took control of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the first quarter of the game, Texas was -3 rushing the football. In the second quarter, they had 105 yards. Really what we're seeing is the offensive line for Texas start beginning to dominate the smaller Texas Tech defensive line. And Malcolm Brown and Jonathan Gray have had a field day with the Texas Tech secondary with their jump cuts and juke moves, being able to extend their plays.
I was asked here in the booth just a few short moments ago when I went away about the Diggs hit. There had been some conversation about whether that should have been perhaps a target. That was a clean hit. There was absolutely no doubt in my mind. He led with his shoulders, and clear. That was just a big-time hit, a football play that was made. Unfortunate, obviously, for Texas Tech, but a clean hit.
Yeah, it was a big hit because Patrick Mahomes didn't see it coming, and that's where a lot of people see some of these hits and they think to themselves that, oh, it was targeting or it was a legal hit of sorts, but not in that case. And that was one of the things Cliff Kingsbury talked about, not wanting to utilize Patrick Mahomes in the running game quite as much because he didn't have much depth behind him.
True.
So it was a little bit surprising to see that play, come into play and affect this game in such a major way.
Yeah. Can you imagine, though, if this holds up, it could be another Jerry Neuheisel moment. Last week, there was for Davis Webb. That would lead him to being in a boot for much of the week and on crutches today. For Patrick Mahomes, blindsided by Quadre Diggs, knocked silly and out of the game, leaving only Testaverde as one that could go, the walk-on quarterback and son of the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986.